You're listening to Change Your POV Podcast, episode 53.
Other veterans will care and veteran business owners might. But again, when it really comes down to it, the brass tacks, if you're dealing with people that are civilians that have no clue what the military is like or what a veteran can offer, they don't give a shit because you don't have what they are always looking for. And that's the degree that mean everything in their world.
Welcome to Change Your POV Podcast, helping you navigate transitions in your life like entering and exiting college or the military, changing jobs or careers, and providing you with the coaching and mentorship needed to help you advance in your personal or professional life. Sometimes all you need is to change your point of view. Now, here's your host, Eddie Lazary.
Welcome to Change Your POV Podcast. I am your host, Eddie Lazary, joined today with
Ben
Tanton. And this is a second part of a 4-part series dedicated to all of you that have transitioned out of the military and you now call yourselves veterans. Today, we're going to talk about false expectations by veterans. If you missed last week's episode 51, be sure to check that out. Head back. It's titled PTSD versus moral injury. It was a very, very interesting topic.
Controversial.
I've got a lot of engagement, a lot of lovers, a lot of haters, all kinds of good stuff out on social media. Everybody's got a position on this. And the thing about it is, even people that may agree on one side are arguing with each other because there's, you know what I'm saying? Because there's such varying degrees of this topic. And I think, over the last 12 years since we've been in conflict, it's kind of changed faces and meanings and definition over time. And of course, there's, a lot of people out there taking advantage of the system and you're always going to have that. So, it is what it is, but it was an interesting talk. We had Tim Parkhurst with us last week as well. It was good to have him on. We got to get him on more often. Kind of makes both of us sound much smarter, right?
A little bit. Knuckleheads that we are.
Yeah. Next week, we're going to talk about should being a veteran define you? And then we'll follow up this 4-part series with the last episode. What do you have to offer as a veteran? So stay with us today and in the next 3 weeks or next 2 weeks after this and wrap up this series. It'll be a good discussion. So before we get into any of the discussion tonight, I'd like to just say I've been working on something very diligently. I've had Bennett here to kind of help me vet the process, kind of nail down some stuff that I've been working on. But I've been working on this free training program called 7-Day Resume. It is live starting on June 1st, but you can sign up now. Head on over to 7dayresume.com, and there's a video with me on there that kind of describes what it is. It's a free email training program. Once you sign up beginning on June 1st, you'll receive your first email training lesson. Hold on, I got dogs. Can you hear dogs? Did you hear that? Don't worry, it'll go away soon. Can you hear them?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had my mic muted.
I'm like, hello?
Hello? Yeah, I could hear him, but who gives a shit? Fuck it. It's like my kids talking in the background.
Very similar, right?
Yep.
All right, so I forgot where I was at. So head on over to 7dayresume.com. You can sign up now, and you'll start your lesson beginning June 1st. So if you are in need of a resume, or if you are looking at getting a promotion within your company, it's good to have. And a lot of people struggle with their resume. They struggle with how to structure it, what to put in it, how to write it, what are recruiters and hiring managers looking for. It's all in there. So head on over to 7dayresume.com, sign up now, and begin your training. It's going to be a good one. We've got a Facebook group page associated with it, so you can hang out with other people going through the program. and hang out with me and Bennett and those individuals that have gone through the program. Be a good time. So, yeah, look forward to everybody getting together and doing that on June 1st. So, good times. So, let's get into this discussion, Bennett. False expectations by veterans. What I mean by that is those of you that are just about to get out, or maybe you've just gotten out, recently separated from the military, or perhaps you've even been out for a little while. Everyone kind of gets out of the military and they have these expectations. Now, where these expectations come from may vary. I mean, I had a lot of expectations prior to separation, and I learned a lot of, my expectations from listening to other people. Now, why I listen to other people that have never separated, have never been out of the military, I don't know. I believed them. I don't know why. It's just, I guess it's that if I read it on the internet, it must be true, right? So I listen to these people in the military. I'm like, oh yeah, all the employers out there are looking for military folks to hire, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that I thought that was true when I got out, and then I got out and I realized that pretty much nothing that I heard before I got out was actually true. So I had a lot of kind of false expectations when I got out. So that's what this discussion is. We're going to talk about some common, by no means this is going to be all of them. These are just some common ones that I've personally experienced, and Bennett as well, of expectations separating out of the military, being a veteran. So let's just start it off, Bennett. What was kind of the big, well, you've separated twice, so maybe you had different experiences or different perspective each time. But what's would you say, one of the big expectations, let's call them false expectations, that you had when you separated?
Basically, I think that one of the biggest things that guys and gals don't do is actually identify the gaps in their resume or in their networks or their skill sets. And just because they think that they're, oh, I'm an NCO in the Marines, or I'm an NCO in the Army, they rely completely upon that and don't really like break their skills down to minutia to put it forward to people, or they rely too heavily on their network where they think that people, they're basically either relying completely on people, just like you said, that are on active duty, or people who haven't looked for a job in years to give them advice on finding their path.
Okay, so before we get any further, let's take the first one. Identifying gaps in the resume and skill sets. I totally agree with you. A lot of people they get out and they don't realize, or don't know how to convert those skills into terminology or language that corporate understands. But this is the tough thing, right? It's the proverbial chicken before the egg thing, right? It's the you don't know what you don't know. And that's what I struggle with. How do people that have never separated before, that have never worked in corporate before, how do they even know what corporate or what civilian employers are looking for? Like, what, they don't even know what terminology to use, and they damn sure don't know how to convert one terminology to another. So, I mean, what do you recommend for people that are faced with that? And it's pretty much everybody.
They listen to us.
Yeah, there we go. Listen to us. That's why we exist. Yeah, man. So
No, I mean, seek out people that know more than you. Admit to yourself that you don't know everything. And another thing is admit, all right, because here's one of the biggest roadblocks I think that veterans run into, is that they can't or they won't accept that they're starting over.
right.
That
Yeah.
people don't, at the end of the day, I'm going to start that right off early today. At the end of the day, people in the civilian world they give a shit that thank you for your service. But frankly, past that, if your skills don't match up, they don't give a shit.
Right.
They really
Absolutely.
don't. I mean, I'm telling you folks that other veterans will care and veteran business owners might. But again, when it really comes down to it, the brass tacks, if you're dealing with people that are civilians that have no clue what the military is like or what a veteran can offer, they don't give a shit, because you don't have what they are always looking for. And that's the degree or the certificates that mean everything in their world. And if you don't have those, You're military, and you have a weak resume because they can't understand half of it because it's written in jargon.
Mm-hmm.
They don't give a shit. If they can't read it, why they're gonna be like, well, that's nice, you know?
Well, okay, so let's role play here for a second. I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but bear with me. So, all right, Marine Corps, Army, doesn't matter. If you're talking to somebody, let's pretend you and I are still in, okay? And we're shooting the shit, we're over in the smoke break area, whatever, and we're just kind of, and we're talking about like high speed motherfuckers in the military, right? Who are we talking about? What types of people are we talking about?
I mean, are you talking about just as veterans in general?
Yeah, no. So we're in the
Yep.
military and we're just shooting the
And
shit,
you
and we're
say high
talking about
speed
yeah,
motherfuckers?
yeah. Who are we? If we're talking in a conversation about high speed guys, who are we talking about? We're talking about
Special operations,
yeah, we're talking about special
Rangers,
operation Rangers.
MARSOC, Special
Yep,
Forces,
yep,
SEALs, that
right.
shit.
And why? Why? What makes them special? Why are they? Why are they high speed, low drag? What is it about them that makes them the cool guys on the
Oh,
block?
because they have a skill set that nobody else has. I mean, that they might, but it's a skill set that's again,
So
again, it's high
yeah.
speed because now see,
Well,
right.
what?
And
Well,
you're
what type
proving
of?
a point because you can't really say, all right, so we do direct action stuff, which is awesome. You
Yeah.
know?
Okay. So
So
let's go
it's
down
like
that road.
look at it
Let's
like SWAT compared to
yeah.
cops.
So let's go down that road for a minute. Talk about some specific skill sets that make them badass, right? So they are typically trained in maybe some type of SEER, right? Search, evasion, escape, right? They are trained in, explosives. They're trained
Like
in all kinds of
breaching,
weapons.
weapons manipulations of all different kinds in different countries of origin.
Right.
Probably, more like most of them are fantastic orienteers, which means it's a fancy way to say they can do land nav awesome
Yep.
without a freaking GPS, folks. They
Bilingual.
bilingual for the most part. They just have an overarching skill, where they're able to absorb information and then
Right.
disseminate it to people effectively. Usually they're effective leaders. Every
Yep.
single one of them could be a leader in any other unit, any conventional unit.
Right. So those are the best of the best, right? And we just named some different organizations and we named a list of skill sets that those individuals have. Now, you take those same skill sets of those badass individuals that we know to love and to cherish and to talk shit about while we're in the military, and now let's say you're one of those people and you're sitting across the desk from a recruiter or a hiring manager and you're in an interview. And even though all of those things we just mentioned are the creme de la creme, they're the cream of the crop, the tip of the fucking iceberg, on top of Everest in terms of like badassery,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yep.
And you start listing all those things off, guess what that corporate recruiter or hiring manager is going to say? Um, Thanks, but I really don't give a shit about
Yeah.
any of
Thank
that.
you for your service.
That's it. Because what we consider to be top notch and badass in the military, nobody on the outside in the civilian sector really gives a
Well,
shit. Unless you're
unless you can translate it, and
there, you
and that's
go.
the key, like
Absolutely.
leadership stuff, communication stuff. I mean, something as simple as freaking, being able to. All right, one of the things that I've always heard is making friends with discomfort.
Hmm.
Right? People in the military, we can get along with anybody for the most part.
Hmm.
Because why? We kind of leave all the race, colors, creeds,
Yeah,
opinions,
we're all,
political
yeah.
bullshit on the side. We're all part of a team, right?
Yep. Yep.
So that's something that's very useful in the civilian world. Trust me. The
Mm-hmm.
diversity card. Oh my God. And it gets more and more every day.
Right.
That is something that's a skill, but how do you translate that into
Hmm.
a resume? You know what I mean?
So this is kind of, if you can kind of picture this for me for a second. You're familiar with the bell curve, right?
Yeah.
You got the different extremes on either end. You got the mean in the middle, right? The bell curve. So if you can picture this giant, like you take a piece of paper and you turn it sideways and you draw a bell curve, right? As big as you can on the paper. Do you have a piece of paper right now, Bennett?
I don't.
Do
I
this.
don't.
All right, we'll draw with your finger on your desk. Follow along. Ready?
Yep.
So draw the biggest bell curve you can on the piece of paper. Completely fill up the piece of paper. Now, at the very tippy top of the mountain of your bell curve, that is the best thing that you ever did in the military. Let's say deployed to Iraq and took out a 3-man mortar team. That's the tip of the bell curve, right? I'll just use that as an example.
Right.
That's the pinnacle of my 10 years of service, right? That's like the best, coolest shit that I did, right? Let's just say. Now, and I go into a job interview or I'm trying to populate my resume, whatever the case may be. It's easy for me to go back to that point in time, the tip of the mountain, the tip of that bell curve, and use that as kind of, well, this is the this is the pinnacle of my existence. This is the best thing I ever did. But what's on top of that bell curve doesn't nobody gives a shit in the corporate world. Now, if you go down either side, let's go down the left-hand side of the bell curve until you get all the way to the bottom, okay? So now you're ground level. You're all the way at the bottom of that bell curve. Now this is, if you go left, you're going backwards in time, and if you go to the right, you're going forward in time. All right, from that point at the top of taking out the mortar team. You go backwards in time, right? So before you took out the mortar team, what did you do? Well, you were in the fob and you gave a mission briefing. And before that, you're in the talk and you were receiving that mission briefing by your commander. Before that, you were probably eating chow and getting ready to go. Before that, so now you keep going to the left and you keep backtracking all the way back to the point where you're saying, okay, now I was working pre-deployment operations before we deployed to Iraq. Well, what did you do? Well, I had to do an inventory. I had to count all my team's equipment and my section's equipment and my squad's equipment. Had to make sure that everybody had all their shit. Oh, hold on a second. That's something that the corporate people will like, they resonate with, that they can understand, because now you're taking inventory, you're taking accountability, and you're logging it somehow. So now you've got some type of reporting structure. Let's go backwards in time even more. Okay, so now before that, what ends up happening? Well, you had to fill out documentation. You had to fill out your team's, you had to make sure everybody's SGLI was filled out. You had to make sure everybody had the power of attorney. So you had all kinds of legal documents that you had to make sure were in line and in order. You had to make sure all of the shots were given, right? So you go backwards in time, even though you're on the ground floor, you're not on the top of the mountain anymore killing that mortar team. You've regressed backwards in time down the mountain, and you're now out in this linear field way out here, way long before your deployment. Those things that are ground level, the administrative stuff, the things that you did that worked up to that pinnacle point in your life, those are the things that recruiters and hiring managers are interested in. You've all done those things. You just have to figure out that, oh shit, that's the kind of stuff that actually matters. So now let's go the other direction. Now you start at the top, you taking out that mortar team, and now let's go forward in time. After you took out that mortar team, what did you do? Well, you went and had to do BDA, battle damage assessment. You searched the bodies for any type of intelligence. You gathered the intelligence and you had to turn it into the Brigade S2. You had to transport the bodies down to the morgue to, I don't even know what the hell they do with them. And then you go back and you give a briefing. You brief your commander. Ooh, that's interesting. You're briefing your commander on an action. So you're doing what, an AAR, after action review, or some type of a report that you've got to potentially fill out. Okay, so you're filling out reports and you're briefing your boss. That's kind of interesting. Recruiters and hiring managers can relate to that. Let's go forward in time. Now it's time to, redeploy back to the States. So you've got to do a relief in place. You've got to coordinate with an adjacent unit. Oh, what does that sound like? That sounds like working with other teams within your organization. So the point I'm trying to make is the most important thing to you while you're in that killing of the mortar team that's at the pinnacle of your life, that's not the shit that matters. You've got to come down off that mountain on either side of that point in your life and get down to the ground level of all the administrative stuff, the things that are not sexy, the things that you just overlook, you just did, don't even know where you learned them, how you learned them. You just learned them and you just executed and you got from point A to point B. Shoot, move, and communicate. It's just what you did. But those are the things that everyone does,
That
that everyone has experience
yeah, it's
doing.
completely taken for granted in the military
Absolutely.
because killing people isn't a marketable skill in the civilian world, folks.
No, it isn't.
In any
It's
form or fashion. I don't care if you do it by pulling a trigger or pushing a button or whatever, but it's the all the shit that comes before that, just like Eddie has said so eloquently, before and after that shit goes down.
and it's hard because in the military, that's the shit that everybody talks about. That's the shit that you get an award for. That's the shit that you can hang some shit on your wall, pin some shit on your chest, tell war stories about when you're sitting around a campfire smoking and joking, that. But so in everyone's mind, that's the thing that matters. No one's ever sits around. I mean, I don't know about you, but we never sat around smoking and joking and talked about how awesome it was to do that layup before we deployed.
No, no,
You know what I mean?
no.
Dude, can you believe that guy forgot his canteen? Holy shit balls. Nobody talks about that shit because it's not sexy, right?
Right?
But those things are the things that corporate can understand and see value in. So I know that this is very difficult to kind of imagine in your head. I don't know. Maybe I did a good job. Maybe I didn't of painting that picture for you. But this is one of the things that I'm teaching to veterans at local universities, and it's something that I'm going to be putting together in an actual like online training course. You actually can see it. I'm going to draw it out for you so people can understand. Everybody has marketable skills. You just have to figure out where they are and what they mean to people and how to translate it. Because back to our original topic of what the fuck's our topic?
Fuck.
Oh, hold on, here it is. Here it is. False expectations
False
by veterans.
expectations.
Right. Okay.
Well, one of the things, like take this. This is just an example of skills that translate very well and that mean something in the civilian world is especially for leaders that have or anyone that's even done anything to do with an operations order. That's the type
Right.
of shit that matters. I mean, like our friend Michael Penny with the 5 paragraph business plan.
Mm-hmm.
That is the type of stuff that's translatable. So think about those little bullshit things that you take for granted or that you hate fucking doing in the
Mm-hmm.
military, in the planning process, in the management, overall management and leadership processes within your units and stuff. Even like what the freaking supply clerk does and that type of shit. Those are things you look at it and you go, man, that's complete bullshit. But what the hell do you think people that work in an office do every day?
Yep. Yeah,
They
absolutely
write
right. So,
PS reports all fucking day. That's
yep.
what they do. And
Mm-hmm.
and to think any separately is insanity. Here's what. Okay, so as an infantryman, specifically, I was one of those guys. I started out as one of those high speed, low drag recon guys. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I had a good friend of mine tell me today that knew me from the military. Funny story, kind of. Who's seen The Incredibles? Raise your hands,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen. All right,
Yeah.
so you see The Incredibles. Now, I'm not saying I'm some kind of fucking superhero. That's not what I'm saying. The thing is that I don't fit in, and most of you won't either. Don't necessarily fit in where you'll end up. So think back of The Incredibles and think back of Mr. Incredible. what was his name? Isn't that it? Mr. Whatever the hell?
Mr. Wonderful.
Mr. Wonderful. Was that what his name was?
I think
I don't
so. I
remember.
can't
Either
remember.
way, the main dude, right?
Yeah.
Just big, strong. Well, not so strong anymore, but with a gut. It feels very similar to me. Overweight, freaking whatever. But you go from being the superhero esque type person to the next thing you know, you're in the business place, and everyone around you, people would never recognize you. They'd be like, "What in the hell is he doing amongst all these people?"
Right.
Seriously, that's what it's like a lot of times. And
Yes.
that's what my friend told me. He's like, that's what I picture with you because now I am in this touchy feely, freaking woo wooey field of mental health and dealing with people that literally, and like I meditate every day. People are like, get the fuck out of here. You don't do that shit. You're full of shit. No, seriously. I mean, this is what happens is you find yourself morphing into these types of people. But what you have to do is that you have to, again, it's about managing those expectations, is you have to find out what really, makes you run.
Right.
And start early. Like you really, really got to figure out what you want to do. Like if you don't know what you want to do or what your interests are, other than shooting people in the face, if you don't have real interests or real goals or real problems that you've identified that you can solve, just stay in. Don't get out.
Yeah.
Don't get out. You're going to fucking fail.
Yep.
And none of us want to see that. All right. You're not, I'll take a line from Fight Club. You're not a beautiful, unique snowflake. And it sounds, but I'm serious as a fucking heart attack. You're not, because guess what? There's 400 guys or gals that got out of the military yesterday, just like you.
Right.
They all have, you might have different skill sets, you might have whatever, but at the end of the day, there's 400 people just like you that also feel as though they're freaking beautiful and unique snowflakes. Okay.
Right.
And, but your resume sucks. You have zero freaking idea of what you want to do other than maybe I'll go to school. Frankly, those are the people that will probably succeed unless they manage their expectations of what school's going to be like. Because guess what? Well, that's a whole nother episode.
So let's talk briefly about those paths. We talked about it earlier today before we started recording. So let's just we won't get into the weeds of them, but there's
three main.
There's three main paths when you get out of the military, right?
Get out of the military and become a student. Whether that's a student in college or you're going to get your project management certificate or any other certificate, become a peer support specialist, become a plumber, become go to a trade school. Education. That's what we're talking about. That's one path. Yep. All right. And guess what? The GI Bill will pay you to go, and certain states will pay you, they'll give you a tuition waiver. So you'll end up with more money, but at least it gives you time to figure out what the fuck you want to do.
Right.
Number one. So that's not a bad, because that's the thing. If you get out and you don't have a plan, go to school for Christ's sake, because otherwise you're just going to end up back in the military. It's the truth. I'm sorry. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. All right. Number one. Number two is go be an employee somewhere. Go work for somebody. Be a cop. Be a whatever. Be a freaking underwater basket weaver. Whatever. But getting a job working for someone else. Mom, dad, Uncle Lenny, whatever. Okay. That's number two. But the word of caution I have with that is have the job before you get out.
Yes.
Or at least have the inside track on 2 or 3 jobs. And the third one is to be your own boss. Be an entrepreneur. Have a problem or identify a problem that you have a solution for. Because that's what being an entrepreneur is. It's not about being out there and just being a flashy dude with, whatever. It's either, you have, a problem that you're having and you have a solution for it. Because if you have it, more than likely other people have the same problem.
Yeah, we're not talking about that itch that you got between your legs either.
Nasty.
Different problem.
Nasty
Different problem.
Masterson. All right. It's not about going to the driftwood and getting some weird disease. That's not the type of freaking problem we're talking about.
That's not what we're talking. Okay, just wanted to
All
had to
right.
clear that up.
Because every base has that strip club right off post.
Oh yes, they do.
So anyway,
So yeah, we got those three paths: become a student, join a workforce, or being an entrepreneur.
yeah.
But you gotta kind of know what direction you want to go. And you know what? You said it earlier, and that is you have to just understand that when you get out of the military, you're starting over. I mean, and I'm telling you, man, that's a bitch of a pill to swallow, man. I was 10 years active duty, senior squad leader, responsible for 9 guys. I led men in combat, like, you know,
Again, nobody
I,
cares.
I get out and now I'm just
Joe shit the rag man.
entry level position that when I originally applied to a job, they're like, "Oh, do you have a degree?" I'm like, no. And they're like, "All right, well, give us a call back when you have a degree." I'm like, "Oh my god." So I am not any way, shape, or form somebody who's going to say that you have to have a college degree in order to make it on the outside, because I know so many guys and gals that don't have a college degree. They're completely, absolutely successful in their own right.
Absolutely.
However, I will tell you that having a degree will
in the civilian world, education and certifications matter. Period.
They do.
Period.
And it'll give you more opportunities.
Period.
Yep.
I mean, you can fight it, but you might as well be pissing into the wind.
Yeah.
Seriously, because I'm not saying it's just like he said, it's not completely necessary. But if you want to be a lawyer, you got to go get a fucking degree. If you want to be a doctor, you have to go get a degree. If you want to be a senior level executive, pretty much you're probably going to have to go get your MBA. Frankly.
So let me ask you this. How many colleges are there? Just, I don't know, ballpark. How many colleges are there in the United States?
Oh my God, tens of thousands.
All right, let's just call it. I don't know.
Say 10,000.
Let's say there's 10,000 schools. How many seniors graduate every year?
Jesus.
Per class. So what's the average size class of a college or university? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know, man. That's like huge. Hold on, I could give you a. Hold on.
I know this is completely off the cuff, but I just wanted to kind of make a point here, people.
Yeah, hold on.
You don't have to go to college. That's fine.
Oh, here we go. All right.
Yeah.
So this is just an idea. On average, now this is 2012 numbers. Okay. So it's 4 years ago. Yeah. If anything, it's gotten to be worse.
Right.
On average, an average of 470,000 resumes are posted to monster.com each week.
470,000 resumes each week.
Essentially, for every job opening in the U.S., there are roughly 187 qualified and unqualified job applicants. For every job opening in the U.S., there are roughly 170 potential applicants, whether they're qualified or on.
Right.
That's a lot of fucking people.
Now, the qualified. Now, qualified means there's a lot of jobs that require a degree, and that means they're qualified. So if you got, let's say, 10,000 colleges or universities in the United States, and let's say the average senior graduating class size is, I don't know, 200?
Yeah,
maybe?
Let's say. Maybe.
All right, that's 2 million people entering the workforce every year that have a degree. Okay, people, they have their bachelor's degree and they're entering the workforce and they are all trying to get those same jobs. So again, you don't have to have your college degree. That's fine, but don't get pissed off when all you can find is a job that pays $8 an hour.
Right.
Because that's all you're going to be able to find. I'm just, you know what? There's going to be the people out there that are listening to this like, oh, that's bullshit. I never went to college and I make, $45 an hour. Well, good on you, man, because you are an anomaly. You are the exception to the
Well, it's like
rule.
the job I had prior to all of this life change.
Yeah,
I had no degree at the time, and I made $32 an hour.
right. But you were uniquely qualified. How?
Uniquely qualified is that I was a freaking trained killer.
Yes, because you worked in the nuclear industry.
Yes. All
Yes.
right. So I had a unique skill set, which a lot of guys have, to, provide security for and protect plants, nuclear plants from terrorism and whatever else,
Hmm.
and just about every military veteran has that. But again, where I worked, there was
Right.
only X amount of jobs. And, at the end of the day, it still doesn't mean it's all cracked up, what it's all cracked up to be.
Yeah. And
It's
let's
like
just be
every
real too.
infantryman thinks they're going to get up and be a fucking cop.
Oh, but let's
And
let's talk about that for a second now. Everybody thinks that you're right. They're going to get out and be a cop, be a deputy or
federal
sheriff
agent or something.
or border patrol, on and on and on. But
Yada,
let
yada,
me tell
yada,
you,
right.
there's a lot of okay. I don't know about you, Bennett, but I've got quite a few cop friends
Mm-hmm,
and people that work in that industry that were never in the military.
mm-hmm.
And contrary to popular belief, a lot of these agencies are not really that interested in hiring former military, and here's why. Not that you're not good, and it's not that you don't, and you know how to shoot a weapon, you know how to all that, but you know what? It's easier for a lot of these law enforcement agencies to train somebody that has no experience
Correct.
to learn their way of doing things than it is to try to reprogram somebody to learn something totally different way of doing it.
Right. So here's the thing. If you want to be a cop and you're either a cop in the military or an infantryman, all right, number one, get your education while
Hmm.
you're in. All right. Something, at least general education. Because there's certain jobs like New York State Police that you can't even get plastic. They won't even touch you unless you have 60 college credits.
Wow.
So now there's a lot of good jobs. All right. So I think a lot of what you're saying, Eddie, is based upon the fact that if you can find a force that is veteran friendly, go
Hmm.
after that force. But there's a lot of forces out there that are not
Right.
veteran friendly. They may tote themselves to be, or they may by law have to give you preference. That
Hmm.
doesn't mean they're going to.
Right.
And it's not some conspiracy theory. It's just the way life is, folks.
Hmm.
All right.
Yep.
So if you are from Mayberry, freaking Ohio, and you want to work for the Mayberry PD, but you don't know anyone on the Mayberry PD, chances are you don't have a chance in hell.
Hmm. That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you want to do that, again, I could write a book on this shit. Go out and freaking, you know what I mean? Go out and meet people, network.
Yeah. Network.
Professional networks are all right. So guess what, folks? Here's the thing. Get out of the fucking stone age. Get a LinkedIn profile, get a Facebook profile. It's not just for kids or telling war stories. It's called
Hmm.
networking. Come into the 21st century, okay, where we're at, and open your mind to technology. Get out
Hmm.
there and use it to your advantage. Don't poo poo on Facebook. Just use it for what it's good for you for. Use it as a tool. Use LinkedIn as a tool.
Right.
I mean, do you understand? I got my job with the federal government because I networked with a guy on LinkedIn who told me
Shit.
exactly what I needed to do.
Yep.
Because guess what? That's another game that you have to play. USA jobs, dude, go ahead and apply to 160 different jobs and run that shit up the flagpole and see what if it gets saluted. It's going to get
Hmm. Right.
saluted with a big middle finger most of the time.
Yep.
Okay. But once
Yep.
your foot's in the door, your foot's in the door.
Right.
But you
But so
have to
many of
play
these,
the game.
yeah,
There's a game that
have to
has to
play
be
the,
played.
oh,
Don't fight against it. Again, pissing in the wind doesn't work well.
so here, I just have to reiterate that playing the game. Okay. I got my first corporate job. I was excited. I got in entry level position. Yes, granted, I had to start over, whatever. I was willing to do it because They told me that the position actually required a degree, but I didn't have one. I was going to school, but I didn't have my bachelor's degree fully yet. So the hiring manager said, you know what? I'm going to take a chance on you. I will hire you, you know, considering that you're a veteran and, you know, I like you and you have to make me a promise that you'll continue to go to school and get your degree. I'm like, yeah, done deal. So
But
we
you
kind of,
sold yourself when you got in front of that guy, didn't you?
yeah, I did.
See,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
other
I
thing,
did.
folks. You got to know how to interview. You got to know how to talk to people. Don't be a
Mm,
douchebag.
right. So I got into this corporate job and I wanted to carry forward with me the same traits and attributes I had when I was in the military. So I believed because I believed it when I was in the military. So I believed it when I was out. I believed that I could advance under my own merit, that I could do, I could get promoted based off of my own, performance. Um, and so I did. I busted my ass. I did everything I could. I volunteered. I looked for, continuous improvement initiatives and opportunities. I did all of that, worked harder and longer and all of that, right? And people around me that were doing half the work, that knew half their job that was they were supposed to know, they were getting promoted. And I noticed that those people were hanging out with, schmoozing with, a couple levels up, going to lunch with them and all this networking bullshit I thought was just brown nosing, right? And I'm like, bullshit. I'm not going to stoop to that level. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get in good and do all that because I didn't have to do that when I was in the army. I damn sure ain't going to do it when I'm out here in the civilian world. And you know what? It took a long ass time for me to finally realize that guess what, folks? It is a game, and you can choose not to play, but you can't be pissed off when you're sat on the bench and you're never asked to join the team because that's just the way that it is. You don't want to play? Fine. Don't play. Sit on the bench, take your ball, go home, do whatever you got to do. But if you want to play, there's certain things you got to know, and that is networks matter, right? Performance is important, but it's about keeping up the network of people in and around your sphere, people above you in your organization. And you're like, oh, well, screw that. I'm just going to, get out and own my own company and I don't have to worry about all that. Yes, you do. Because guess what? You're going to have to deal with vendors or subcontractors. You're going to have customers. You're going to have employees. Listen, folks, just because you own your own business doesn't mean you don't work for anybody anymore. It doesn't mean you don't have standards you have to uphold to somebody else. It doesn't mean you don't have to have accountability to somebody other than yourself. That's a misconception because because I owned my own business when I got out. I thought that I was immune to all of those things. And as a business owner, especially a small business owner, you are probably more so tied to those intricacies of the game, so to speak, than even working in corporate. I know that when I was working my landscaping business, I walk into I was doing paver walkways and retaining walls, and I walk into the shop that sold the bricks, and there's a particular kind of brick that I needed that my customer wanted. I ran out. I didn't have enough. And I had went in there and talked to the owner of the company, and he's like, "Oh well, I've got 3 skids of that left, but they're already spoken for, no. So let me tell you, I couldn't just say, oh, okay, and walk out, man. I had to turn on the old charm, you know what I mean? And I had to
Right.
kind of schmooze him a little bit and kind of make some under the table deals. And guess what? I walked out of there being able to buy one of those 3 skids that he had left over. And it was difficult because I knew walking out of there that he was going to have to tell one of his other customers that he didn't have what they were looking for, or at least not all of it. But when you're owning your own business, you got to do what you got to do to keep your customers happy, and that means you've got to make relationships and you've got to network with people in and around whatever it is you're doing. You can't go anything alone. You can't have your own business and do it
And so
alone.
many
You
guys
can't.
want to get out and do that.
Yeah, I know.
They want to
And
be
it's
the lone wolf, and I get it. I understand. I do. But you know what? So get out. Take some of your freaking money that you've made and hopefully saved. Go take a freaking cruise on your own or something. Go get that shit out of your system.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
out into the woods for a month. I don't care. Get it out of your system and then come back. Give me a call and I will get you hooked up with veterans in your area.
Yeah.
Seriously.
They call it a walkabout, right?
Right. Go do a walkabout. Go Crocodile Dundee your ass all over the place. Okay. But get that shit out of your system because
Yes.
you can't do it unless that's what you want to be, unless you want to be Mick Dodge out in the Olympic National Forest, or what the hell's the guitar guy's name? Uh, shit, from
His name,
Cheap Trick. Is that what group he was in?
I don't know. Somebody living out in the
Oh,
woods?
no, no, no. He goes out in the woods once a year for like 2 weeks out in the Alaskan wilderness. Shit. He's a big
Was it
political freaking
Oh, wasn't he the dude that died in that bus out in the middle of nowhere?
no. Shit. Big gun rights guy, big hunter, big Ted Nugent.
Oh,
Unless you
okay.
want to be Ted Nugent out in the woods for a freaking month in like rural Alaska, with a steak knife and a fucking gun and a iron pan, and that's all you roll around with. Fine, go do that for a month, but get it out of your system. Come back to your community of people that know and love you, and we'll help you freaking kumbaya, dude.
I'm sorry, man.
I know,
I,
but you know what? Laugh all you want, but
I'm
I'm
picturing this fucking dude with a goddamn raccoon hat on right now.
what?
Like,
Dodge. You know who Mick Dodge is? The legend
yeah,
of Mick Dodge.
yeah.
The dude on, he's got a whole show about him. Dude dresses in moss and fucking shit like that. He's a
Oh,
veteran.
fuck. Is he?
Yeah. Shocker.
He apparently didn't get it out of his
Oh,
system, huh?
fuck no. Homeboy's eating all kinds of grubs and worms and what the fuck. But either way, in his own way, he's out there thriving. But that's his
Right,
choice. So unless you're
right,
going to be
right.
that guy or that family of folks that live in Alaska that go do that shit,
Mm-hmm.
on all the Discovery and Nat Geo freaking stuff.
Fucking Bear Grylls.
Right. Unless you're these guys, guess what? You're going to have to come back to society. You're
Yes.
going to have to play the game.
Have to play the
Yeah,
game.
unfortunately.
There is a game, folks. You
But
can hide
but
from it.
just
You
just
can
because you play the game doesn't mean you have to live by their script.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely 100% right. But you have to at least first recognize that one, there is a game, and two, no matter how deep you bury your damn head, the game still exists all around you,
And if you
with or
want to
without
change
you.
the game, you still got
Um,
to get into the game to
you
change
got to
it.
get in the game. You got to play the game, man.
It's like I always
You
say,
want to
like
get, yeah.
American politics, corporate America, whatever. If you want to change it because you think it's fucked up, you can't do it unless you're involved.
Mm-hmm.
Get out there and
Absolutely.
freaking change it. Veterans, the VA, get out there and get a job in the VA and go change it from within because you're playing the game. That's
That's
how
right.
that's how you do it. Shit, you
Mm.
and I talk about that every day.
Yeah, we do. So curb your expectations. Nobody owes you shit just because you're a high speed, low drag son of a bitch that did that, been there, got the t shirt. Doesn't mean when you're going to get out, anybody's going to really give a shit about any of that. Trust me. Trust me. Nobody gives a shit about any of that. They don't even want to hear it. A lot of people, they don't even
Unfortunately,
want to
there's a
hear
lot of
it.
veterans that don't even want to hear it.
Well, there's a lot of veterans that don't want to talk about it, and there's a lot of veterans that don't want to hear it. And then you got other veterans that just can't stop talking about it. And it's like, dude, like, get a grip, man. It's, you're not in anymore. Like, it's time to, you know,
Move on.
time to take off that mental uniform and get with the fucking program because, hey, it's not the way we do
You
things
work at
anymore.
Bob Evans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You sell
Oh my
cars.
God. Sell cars.
Stop.
At, sell cars at
Yeah,
gunpoint.
stop it.
You will buy this
Right.
car. All right. Enough tomfoolery. We've run out of time.
Yeah.
It's been a good one. I don't know if there's a whole lot of like checklist or steps that you could kind of follow through here,
We'll
but
pull something
you know
out.
what?
But you know what?
Yeah,
Hey, again, I'm out here. My number My phone number, my email, my Facebook, my everything. I shit you not. I had a guy today that I know, but he knows nothing about like veteran entrepreneurship. All right.
Mm,
Now, I'm not saying I know a lot about veteran entrepreneurship, but I at least know resources that can help you.
right.
I mean, this is what I do for a living. So again, if you need help, feel free to reach out. I'm there.
Reach out.
I swear I will get back to you. I promise.
Yep.
And
Yep,
so
you
will
will.
Eddie.
And you know what? Networking, because I put myself out there and I decided to network, I was able to find myself a co-host for the show that I didn't even know I was gonna need or want.
Right. Exactly.
But here you are.
Here I am.
All right. We met on
It's called
Facebook.
right. It's called the freaking network. Stop
Yep.
fighting it. Stop
And a
saying
lot of people
again, it's
can't
not for kids and freaking war stories only.
That's right.
It really it's what you make of it.
That's it. And a lot of people that hear the show, Bennett, now, the new listeners to the show that reach out and talk to me about it, they can't believe that you and I have actually never met in person.
Never.
Never.
Not once.
And don't know if we ever will. No, we will.
I'm sure.
We're gonna run Fenway
the
Fenway
Spartan
Spartan Sprint in Fenway this year in November.
So
Yep.
it'll happen. But
Yep.
you know what? Again, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't even matter.
I still love you like a sister, and you're a big part of my life, and I've never met you, and that's because you know what? Nowadays, meeting somebody in person is not a prerequisite. It just isn't. It might have been 20 years ago, but it's not anymore. All right. Well, hey, thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
I look forward to seeing everybody next week when we talk about making sure my shit's all straight here. We're going to talk about should being a veteran define you. That's going to be an interesting one.
Should
And
be.
if you're noticing a trend here with these are topics that Bennett and I both deal with differently, but at the same time deal with. And so that's why we wanted to choose these topics for the veterans out there. Because you know what? I'm not going to sit there and talk about anything that I haven't at least dealt with myself. Because then it's just kind of pointless. It's like me and you sitting around talking about winning $1 million at the lottery. Like we couldn't talk about that. We've never won $1 million at the lottery, or at least I haven't. And if you have, Bennett, then you're a stingy son of a bitch because you ain't offered
Right.
me.
Well, I wish I had, but because I probably wouldn't be talking to your ass.
That's right. Yeah.
No, I
You'd
would.
be out there.
I would be, but still, you know what I'm saying? It's freaking crazy.
You would have your own country out on an island.
That's right.
And what's that place called?
Oh shit! You scared it right out of me. Didn't we just talk about that on the last Cigars and Sea Stories episode?
Yeah. It wasn't Cigars and Sea. It was some island or some shit some guy bought.
It's off the coast of England.
He has his own currency too.
Yeah, man. He's got the whole gig. I'm gonna become a knight of the it's like Waterworld or some shit. That's not what it is, but he sells like dukedoms and baronies and stuff.
That's awesome.
I don't remember the name of it, but it's a riot. So,
well, if you remember, we'll mention it next week. That's a teaser for next week.
Right. I could probably look it up, but it'll take
no, that's fine.
You got enough editing to do on this episode, ain't you?
Yeah, no shit, man. Oh my god, I gotta not drink Tang and
vodka. Yes.
Woo, man.
Yes.
Loosen me right up, man. All right. Well, folks, thanks for tuning in this week to another episode of Change Your POV podcast. I almost forgot what the hell the name of it was. You can find all the show notes for this episode by heading over to changeyourpov.com /
It's hey, just to interrupt you now because you don't know your shit. Principality of Sealand.
Is that what it's called? Principality of Sealand?
Sealand. Yep.
Wow.
It is it is an old like offshore platform that there was a gun emplacement out in 12 kilometers off the coast of Suffolk, England.
Oh, during World War II?
Yeah, it's 6 acres. Population of 27 people.
Wow. And they're all a part of this country.
Yeah. The Principality of Sealand.
Principality of Sealand.
It's a micronation.
Is he the king or what is that?
He's it's an unrecognized micronation. The guy's name is Prince. No, he's a prince.
Oh, he's a prince. Okay.
Michael Bates is his name. Declared Sealand a sovereign nation on September 2nd, 1967.
67? That long ago?
Yeah. It's got a per capita income of $22,200. Total GDP is about 600,000.
Oh my God.
The currency is the Sealand dollar. And yeah, man.
You're making this shit
I
up.
am not, I promise you.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Are you gonna become a duke?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we should be a duke.
He does sell them. He sells them. So you can buy your way into the royal family of the Principality of Sealand.
We can call you Sir Tanton.
You can become a lord, lady, baron, or baroness.
Oh,
you
nice.
can join the Knights of the Sovereign Military Order of Sealand.
Oh,
become a count or countess. Yeah, man. He's even got a book. That's kind of cool. Holding the Fort by Michael of Sealand. What else can he be? You can own a piece of Sealand. Just like you can buy a piece of Scotland, too, and become a laird.
Dude, stop, man.
Sealand security t-shirt? I want one.
That t-shirt and a pair of silkies, dude. Can you imagine?
You can't rival that. That's awesome stuff.
Oh my God. Some Oakleys.
You can even buy stamps.
Stamps.
Stamps, dude.
Oh, jeez. Okay, that's enough. I heard enough. Folks, I'm so sorry we brought up Sealand. You can find all the show notes by heading over to changeyourpov.com/episode 53. Never miss an episode. Hit subscribe on your podcast player of choice. We have a lot more great content headed your way. And come be a part of our community over at Change Your POV Squad Facebook group. Just search for Change Your POV Squad. Oh, shit. God damn it. I just broke some shit.
You're a fucking train wreck. Train wreck. Come through.
A lot of great more content headed your way. Until next time. Dude.
Thanks for listening to Change Your POV podcast with Eddie Lazary. Check out more content by going to changeyourpov.com. And remember, your ability and willingness to change your point of view will open doors of opportunity.